Hey, everybody. Our call-in program is not working, but that's okay because Justin and I are going to have some fun. We got a really cool video we're going to go through. But until then, just, post questions in the chat if you got them. Otherwise, we're going to have a lot of fun. And yeah, here's the show. So let's...
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.
Hey, what is up, man? How are you, Justin?
I'm pretty good. How about yourself there,
I
SR?
really can't complain, man. I thought I was hearing an echo, and so I started to lose my train of thought for a second.
It was probably entirely my fault.
You know
I
what?
apologize for that.
I'm just going to blame you, whether or not it is your fault. I'm just going to accept that it is, in fact, your fault and move on with it, because I feel like the world where you're the one to blame and not me is a better world. So I'm just going to go with it. Hey, hey, what's up, man? What the hell are you doing here? How are we? I don't think we're far enough in. I don't know if I can cuss yet, but that's okay. I just did it. So, how the hell are you, man? What are you up to? What are you doing? How you been? Where are you from? Do you have $10? I don't know. Questions. Sure. I've got questions. Answer.
I mean, I'm Canadian, so my $10 is like one American.
That's true. Yeah. It's fake money.
Yeah. It's Monopoly cash. If you ever seen a Canadian bill, it's all very colorful.
Yes.
In fact, not too many people carrying cash around here these days, anyway.
Really?
Yeah. We're almost cashless over here.
Really? It's all crypto now, huh? Is that what it is?
I mean, it's the one good idea I've heard over from your side in the last month was the idea of getting rid of the penny.
Yeah.
I can tell you from a country who has no pennies, that's a great idea.
Well, it didn't crumble your economy, really.
No, why would it?
I know.
So there's the one argument where someone says that the nickel costs more to make than the penny, and if we get rid of penny, we'll need more nickels. It's like, no, not really, because you're only going to need one nickel. The second you need two nickels, you're going to use a dime.
Sure.
And a dime, actually, whenever you make a dime, it costs less.
Sure.
Than what a dime is worth. So
I kind of like the idea of no coins. Just none of it is coin. Just everything is on the dollar. Just change all the currency everywhere so that it's all on the dollar. I mean, that, I don't know if that's doable. I don't know if that's possible. But I like the idea.
Canada just keeps making more coins.
Okay.
We came real close to a $5 coin at one point.
Really? Yeah. Well, you do have the loony and the toonie, and honestly, I don't want you to get rid of those. I think those are great. I'm not sure that they have as much value as I feel like they do. But I just personally enjoy them. So
I think the objective is not to have cash or physical money.
Yeah.
I mean, that stuff's gross anyways. If we really think about it.
It is. It's
you really want to be carrying that around?
No, I don't. Yeah.
Of all of the things that we will put rubber gloves on for or sanitize for, you almost never see someone touch a 20 and then instantly go for Perel.
No.
Probably should.
And they're very disgusting. Yes, they're very, very, very gross. Lots of objective studies on that. That is true. Yeah. I don't know. Well, the same thing's kind of true with we've had this weird shift where, now all of us are on our phones in the bathroom all the time. And, that was a thing that didn't used to happen. You didn't want to touch anything in the bathroom many years ago, but I'm okay with some of this change. I enjoy having really stupid soccer games to play while pooping in public places. And I'm really sorry to all of our viewers out there who have tuned in tonight and just got that as kind of your first intro to the show, because I don't think that really is the best way to think about this show. If you are, however, pooping in a public place watching us right now, thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Make sure to like and subscribe, and know that you're not alone. With that, though, we are gonna watch this video that you've got for us today, Justin.
I mean, if we can't take calls right now, then that's all fine.
Right.
I'm not going to give up on an opportunity to just hang out with you.
Yes.
And we've had some decent success with making some really fun like top 5 videos. Which we
We
should
had some
definitely get.
fun.
Yeah, we should get together and do some more of that.
Yeah, we do need to do some more. I was actually gonna. I was out of town the last week, but I was thinking about that when I got back. I was like, man, I need to hit him up and see when we want to do that. But yeah, we got this video that we are gonna go through, and also I just want to say I want to throw this out, because many a time we are blessed, #blessed, with believers that will join us for a show, and they will hang out in the audience. And many a times, they will just post comments and questions in the live chat, and they won't call in for whatever reason. And oftentimes in the past, we say, hey, look, we have open lines. Give us a call, and we will answer your questions. But tonight, because our call-in program is not working, if you are religious and you post your question in the live chat, you tag us, we will actually respond to it. So, yeah, see, look at that. Yeah, send them with a flag, to, on, or both. I don't feel like that's worded properly there. I don't feel like we worded that. It doesn't matter, because if you send us a question in the live chat, we will.
This is why we live stream and we don't blog.
Yeah. We're not writers, we're talkers. I feel like that makes sense. We will take your questions if you got them in the live chat. Otherwise, we are gonna go through this video. We think we can make it through 8 minutes of this video, but honestly, neither of us knows how to shut up, as evidenced by this long ramble that I have just given to set this video up. So I will shut up.
6 proofs of God existence. It could be. We may not get past number 1, but that's okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all right.
yeah. I'm going to make a bet right now, and tell me if you think this. Okay, I think the 6th proof is going to be the worst proof. I also think none of them are going to prove God exists. What do you think? What do you think?
I don't think anything on this video is going to prove God existence.
Okay.
I think what's an interesting question is how much of it is going to be like a God of the gaps presupposition situation, or how much of it's going to be like from the Bible. Like, if we were to do a bingo card for this, how many times is he going to say God exists because the Bible says?
Right,
How many times is he going to say because the Bible says?
Right. Take a shot every time he says the Bible. I'm just kidding. I don't. I'm just joking. I don't do what you do. All right. Well, let's do it, man. These are supposed to be proofs for God's existence. So this, I think, is going to be good. We're gonna have some fun stuff to talk about. Hopefully.
Yeah. Now, we didn't test this in advance.
Oh, okay.
We haven't watched this in advance.
We have no idea what's coming up.
So I'm concerned there may be an echo when I play the video. Let me know if there is, and if there is, I should be able to fix it. But let's just check this out. Here we go.
Follow his advice. When we do, we'll find evidences that show us God is real. Let's look at 6 proofs that show God exists.
Sweet.
Number 1, the universe must have a cause.
Okay. Before we hear his proof,
Right.
I like how we started out this. What do you think is going to be the universe must have a cause? What's he going to say? What's going to be his evidence for that?
Well, I think he's going to go through the Kalam. I think he's going to go through the Kalam cosmological argument, the Big Bang. I mean, I think that makes the most sense to me. But the universe having a cause does not necessitate a God's existence, right? Like, it just already from the beginning, it is just like, this does not prove you're God. This is not a good proof, man.
Yeah, the problematic word in that sentence is the word must. Like,
Yes.
Why must it?
Right.
Like, it can
Absolutely.
have a cause. It's not that it must have a cause. Yeah. I'm I'm expecting like if there was a bingo card situation here, the words first mover will get used.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Prime mover for sure.
Prime mover,
For
first
sure.
mover. Let's see.
The most fundamental law of science is the law of cause and effect. And it says that for every material effect we see, there is a cause that came before it or was simultaneous to it, and that is greater than it.
That's
I
interesting.
don't know about that. Yeah, I don't know what that last part is. I have no idea what that. Everything up until that "and is greater than it." That doesn't make any sense to me.
I didn't know that cause and effect was a law. Is it a law?
I don't think so. I think like it's. I mean, maybe it's stated as a law in the sense of like this is something that we see occurring regularly. I don't think it's a law in the same way that like the laws of physics or the laws of logic. I don't think it's in that kind of, I could be wrong on that.
He threw a curveball. We're both kind of,
yeah,
not where we thought he was going to go.
No,
but it's still, even if we accept this, it still doesn't say.
No, he's still got a lot. He's still got a lot to do for the God thing. Also, again, I push back on the cause has to be greater than the effect. I don't think that was true.
Weird.
I think that's demonstrably untrue. In fact, so
yeah, that was a weird slipped that in there.
Yeah,
or was simultaneous to it, and that is greater than it. The universe is a material effect. So what caused the universe?
Right.
You see, if you don't believe in a creator, then you have to suggest something like a singularity. That's what is popular today, that there was some type of singularity that exploded in something called the Big Bang. But then
in fairness.
Okay.
No, you don't. I think it's really frustrating when people do this. Because you don't accept their conclusion does not mean you have to insert fucking anything. Like, that is so frustrating. Just because you say, I do not accept a creator for the universe as a whole, has nothing to say about whether or not you accept a singularity, whether or not you have any idea at all on the beginnings of the universe. You are not forced into some other position just because you don't accept their singular conclusion. That's stupid and it's frustrating. But anyway.
Yeah, it's just because we can pinpoint that exact moment of our universe coming into existence. We don't know what happened at that Planck time, as we call it, right? Because you can't even say before. So the idea of like there's someone before the Big Bang, time didn't exist. How can anything be before it? I'm still waiting for. I'm waiting for a Bible verse or something to come in here, or prime mover. But all right, let's see what else he's got to say about number one here.
Try to get down to the bottom of what's a singularity. Well, what we hear from the scientific community that suggests to us, the cosmologists, they say, well, a singularity was something that popped into existence from nothing.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, we should have called that one.
Yeah, that was the obvious one. How many times have you said that, SR?
None. Never in my goddamn stupid fucking life have I ever said anything like this. And even if I did, it would be couched in so much nuance and explanation that saying it like this is such a stupid straw man that it is worthless. Like, whether or not it came out of nothing it is completely unimportant. And here's why it's unimportant, especially because where'd your God come out of? He popped out of fucking nothing. What did God make everything out of? He popped it out of fucking nothing. Like, it doesn't matter. Even if this is true, which it's not. Even if this were true, this were the argument, right? It doesn't matter because it's the same on your side. You can't say to somebody, haha, your steak is burnt and shitty, and then also have a burnt and shitty steak. It doesn't work. But hey, whatever. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm crazy.
No, I mean, it's the obvious answer. It's like, I hear it all the time from creationists and stuff too. It's like, well, you think that life came from nothing. And it's like, no, actually you do. Like, you're the one who says that God just created man from dust, or if you're Islam, you say he created man from clay, like, and woman from a rib bone. You're the one who's basically saying from nothing, because that clay came from God as well, which also came from nothing. And then who created the God as well?
Yeah.
And yeah, Big Bang cosmology does not talk about before singularity. It talks about
Mhm.
the singularity being that one point is as far back as we can see. That's all we can see, is to the point of the singularity. We can't see to the point where it came into existence,
Mhm.
because that would go against physics, frankly.
Right, right. And that, I mean, if you want to posit that you can do that, or you have an explanation for that, then you can posit that all day. But you have to understand that from the beginning of that discussion, you are saying, like, we have no way to know this whatsoever. It is fundamentally barred from us currently, but I'm still gonna make shit up about it. Like, okay, whatever,
Yeah.
dude. But
And the worst thing that ever happened was calling it the Big Bang Theory, really, actually.
well, and that was
It was a Christian who named it.
yeah, it
in a
wasn't
joke.
a scientist that was like super serious about it or anything. So
Yeah. We're gonna rename this live stream to like Atheism 101. This looks like this is easy mode all day. This is the
I don't know.
most common, obvious questions that I know for us right now is probably a little bit like beating a dead horse, but who knows? This could be someone's first introduction to these topics. So I think there's value here too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's keep going. More easy mode.
Do you know that if there ever were a time when there was nothing, that's exactly what we would have now? The idea that something popped into existence from nothing is simply not a scientific idea.
Uh,
You see, they're suggesting that that singularity is somehow natural, but it behaves supernaturally.
no, we don't. The moment something becomes natural, it's categorized natural. Something
Yeah.
that can't be categorized natural then gets categorized as supernatural.
Yeah. I think this is an issue that a lot of people just haven't really wanted to deal with too super hard, because it gets really uncomfortable and difficult, because depending on how you exactly classify what makes something natural and supernatural, right? You kind of by definition rule out the supernatural. And
Yeah.
that's not my fault. I just want to explain this to everybody. That's not any particular bias. That's not anybody's particular, like, like that. No worldview matters in this case. It is just a logical understanding of what these words, what the concept is we are actually trying to encapsulate when we say these words. And if you genuinely mean these things, then you kind of, by definition, demonstrate to yourself that they're not possible, right? Because this isn't, it's not to say this is the end all be all of it, but Hume does a really good job where he lays this out, and he talks about what a miracle actually is. And a miracle is something that truly violates the laws of nature. It's not something that has such a 1 in a bazillion chance. It is something that cannot happen. It absolutely is impossible for it to happen, and it happens anyway. Like, right there. Do you see how when we started that sentence, we already lost the game? It's impossible for it to happen. But it happens. The beginning of that sentence, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't work. So,
Yeah.
I mean, whatever. It's fine.
And I mean, even if we were to
5 more proofs.
yeah, I mean, yeah. We're 90 seconds into this thing. Okay. Also, if God were to make himself known right now, would just to pop in and be like the third camera on this live stream and go, look, I'll explain all this shit to you guys. That would then make God natural. He would no longer be supernatural. Like, he would just, the moment you would prove God, he then is natural. Yeah. Let's see what else he's got to say about this first proof of God's existence.
Yeah.
Oops.
They said that that singularity wouldn't have followed the laws of nature. Well, then, so what are we left with? We're left with the fact that the universe had a beginning and it was not a natural cause. It was something above nature. It was something super nature.
Yeah, I mean, we
Something
just covered that's
supernatural.
not how that
And
would
so
work.
when we see the material effect of the universe, we can know that there was a supernatural creator that caused
Yeah,
the universe.
none of this is.
Nope, that's
Yeah.
the wedge.
Yeah.
That's that
It's a massive leap in logic. It was a
insert
terrible.
God here.
Yeah.
And then why you're God then, for that matter? You know?
Yeah. No, he hasn't done anything for that, of course. But the first proof is this one's bad. This one's very terrible.
Yeah.
I predicted the sixth one will be the worst. So
Yeah. How about that flying text? Isn't that exciting?
oh yeah, no, it's good. That's a good video. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's a well done video. You know, the supernature to supernatural is pretty good. It's pretty engaging.
Proof number 2. Design.
Okay, hang on. Okay. We'll go to this one. We'll go to this one in a second. Good. I was hoping. I saw that there were a few things in the chat.
All right, let's have a look at
that
the
I
chat.
wanted to. There was. Give me a second here. I know I can't pull it up, but earlier, there was another one from Justice way earlier about thoughts on the transcendental argument. I wanted to pull that one up and just talk about tag just a little. The transcendental argument for God is, I think it's interesting. I think there's a lot of funness with it.
I don't see it.
Yeah, you're good. It might have scrolled past. There it is. Yeah, thoughts on the transcendental argument. I've heard Jay Dyer, an Orthodox apologist, argue for it well. Mainly the fact that naturalism doesn't give the epistemic justification for metaphysical things. I think this right here is this is where my issue with tag is oftentimes, and with presuppositionalism as well, is what it talks about is the ability for us to actually say whether or not we know something. That's where Justice was saying the epistemic justification. Nobody seemingly has epistemic justification. Just that's the frustrating answer. Nobody's got it, just the same as the laws of logic. Like, we can break everything down in the universe to this point, but apparently no further. And that sucks. And I get it. That makes people uncomfortable, and that's not fun. But it doesn't justify any other argument because your argument fails in the same way that everybody else's argument does, right? Everybody's argument has a massive hole right here. And at the end of the day, we have to accept one of three different systems that seems to be, all we're working with, which is foundationalism, coherentism, and infinitism. And I'm not going to go through all of those in great detail just because I know we got more stuff here to do. But if you are struggling with any one of those and you find those difficult, just go look up something about the other ones, because they are all philosophically on the same level. Now, I like the concept of foundherentism, which is coherentism and foundationalism kind of combined. I think that answers some of the problems that people have with both of them individually. It's not perfect, but there you go. Any more specific stuff about the transcendental arguments, you just have to, ask that specifically. But yeah, in general, I would say anytime there's something that's attacking the epistemic justification that you have for your worldview, honestly, no matter whether you're religious or non-religious, it doesn't matter. Like, we all fall in the same unfortunate sinking ship. And what we would have to do from there is compare who is able to actually get out more water. Because at the end of the day, both of our boats are sinking, but one of us is floating a little better than the other and actually bailing out water. So I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Justin, or
No, I'm just learning about this
oh,
now,
cool,
right? So,
cool. Well, good. Well,
I didn't even
I
understand the question.
Oh,
So
cool.
I was really happy to just sit and listen to you. It was
Well,
I'll be honest, I've been watching secular rarity videos all day long, so I just kind of fell back into that. It was like playing Civilization 7, and I got SR with Forrest Valkai over here just dunking on people.
that sounds like a
That
terrible day. Just
no,
watching
dude,
videos
that's
of
the
me.
best. That's the best Saturday. That's the best Saturday.
Well, hopefully that answered that. And if you got anything else, Justin, Justice, of course, shoot us. And anybody else that has anything, there might have been another one, but we'll hit number 2. And if we see any other questions, we'll
all right, let's get back to the video.
Let's do it.
All right, so proof number 2: design demands a designer. So where's he going with this?
I mean,
is he going to talk about the trees?
He's going to, in a roundabout way, he may not exactly say, look at the fucking trees, but yeah, this is already from the beginning. We can just say, fine, doesn't prove a God.
Yeah.
And that's where we were with the first one is fine. The universe needs a cause, but it doesn't prove a God. It doesn't say anything about, the divinity or the supernatural or anything like that. This is going to be a waste of time, honestly, because we agree that if something is designed, then the only way that is the case is because a designer did it. But that's not what he's going to point to shit like trees.
The sentence on its own is harmless and makes perfect sense. Design demands a designer. It's like a baker needs an oven, or like it's so obvious. It's of course, but he's going to try to say that everything natural,
right?
Humans, animals, the world are designed. But he's got no other worlds to compare that to.
Right.
How can he possibly see design?
Right. And we've got really good demonstration that these things are not designed because we come across monkeys in the wild all the time. We come across lemurs and trees and coconuts and all kinds of shit like that. You know what we don't fucking come across? Computers.
Yeah.
Cell phones. Yeah. Cars, because we know people made those. But hey, I'm sure it's a good proof.
I mean, and as a designer, I can tell you that like one of the number one most important things about design is simplicity.
Yes.
And they often say that because it's so complex, it must be designed, where I would argue that in its complexity proves no designer, because a designer would be a failed design if it was that complex.
Not just complexity, right? And not even just because I caught myself. I was about to say this too. Not even just unnecessary complexity, right? Because I could see how unnecessary complexity could, in some instances, indicate a designer, right? The old Gothic castles, from the Byzantine period, they had all these fucking twists and turns and all this fucking crazy unnecessary design, right? The complexity for it, right? But what we actually see in the world around us is not just complexity, not just unnecessary complexity, but unnecessary complexity to the point of catastrophic failure on a regular basis. Okay. Yeah. It is not just that shit is weird and fucked up sometimes. It is that it is weird and fucked up to a degree that it will ruin everything. Like, like the way that our windpipes are built, the way that our circulatory system, I mean, all of this stuff, it is on a knife's edge of absolute total destruction, not just like, oh, it sort of hurts sometimes when we bend over. Like, oh, this is a fun comment from Justice. I'm not sure. if this is a response to what we were saying just a second ago, or if this is a response to him. But Justice is saying, I think that is missing the point. Even if you presuppose naturalism, it does not justify belief in reason, morality, free will, etc. From what I've seen, that feels like the argument pushed. Thanks. If what you're saying is, again, back to the transcendental argument, then you're just repeating the same thing. You're just saying that there is no grounding for your justification when it comes to why you have beliefs, why you have knowledge, right? And so ultimately you're still just saying the same thing. Like you're just saying like it's circular, or you just presuppose, or it just has an infinite regress. Morality, it doesn't change just because something is in the vein of morality or anything. Like it's all still, knowledge is still the same in any of these categories. It doesn't change. Maybe I'm misunderstanding what you're saying.
Well, something in that comment that I grabbed a hold of was that we presuppose naturalism, where I don't think we do that at all, right? Naturalism is the term we give to the things, our reality and our world around us, right? Like it's all, if we can see it, touch it, interact with it, experiment with it, measure it, it's just natural. So it's not a presupposition. It's just how we describe everything tangible in our world, in our reality.
Yeah. There's a comment from Made by Jim Bob. Yeah, that one. Thank you. It's less about design. It's more about function. Function assumes purpose. Purpose assumes intent. I don't think that makes any sense. And I think you actually agree with that. So the reason that it doesn't make any sense is because things have function without purpose. Because function, so what you're doing is you're assuming an anthropomorphic stance. You're implying your own intent on things, but function doesn't necessarily have a human lens, right? But it feels like it does. So a rock has a function whether or not we ascribe that function to it. So I don't know if that makes any sense or not, but go ahead.
Sorry, I was just typing something. Yeah, all right, let's see what he says here beyond this. I mean, we sat on the title card here for a while. Let's see what he actually says about it. I'm pretty sure, I have a feeling he's going to do the Kent Hovind, like a windstorm creates a car or something like that.
I think he's going to go that route, and I think he's going to go the route of the complexity thing as well. But I could be wrong. We were wrong sort of the last time.
It is a truism that everybody recognizes that this universe looks designed. In fact, when we see the various different aspects of nature, and we see birds and squirrels and trees, and we see...
Oh, he said the trees.
Yeah.
You said in a roundabout way. He went right at
He went
trees.
right for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't see design when I see these things at all. I see side effects. That's what I see. I see things that happened because it was the only thing that could happen given the state or the environment, right? It is, I don't want to call it an accident. It's just a side effect. So given the right temperatures and conditions, life's going to happen.
Yeah, accident isn't, I mean, it depends on what you mean by it, right? But accident isn't, if what we're talking about is like completely random and stuff, right? Well, then that's not the case. Like it was influenced by various situations, right? So accident, if you want, like I dropped a container of milk last week, and that was an accident in the sense that I didn't mean, it wasn't my intention to drop the milk, but it was slippery. The milk jug was slippery, right? And I wasn't paying attention. The situation forced this result, right? So it's not like that situation was random or anything. It's not like there was nothing that preceded it, right? And I feel like that's what is often being expressed when they say accident in this situation.
Yeah.
Like they're saying that it just all came about to be because of absolutely no causal chain whatsoever. And that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
So.
And then I would take that analogy one step further, where after you've spilt the milk, if you leave it alone, um, other creatures will come and find their way to that spilt milk. It will start to smell. It will begin to grow other life forms, and those are all just the side effects of you leaving that milk there.
See, all of the things that they do so well. Many times we as humans, we try to copy and mimic that design, but often we don't do nearly as well as the design that we see in nature. We look
That's an interest I don't think I've ever really heard. So is he just accusing humans of attempting to steal God's designs
Yeah,
and
basically.
failing?
Yeah, it's the
Because-
same kind of Frank Turek thing of the sitting in God's lap to,
I don't
slap
know.
him in the face type stuff.
The whole comparing Velcro to those hook plants, I think our Velcro is better than these hook plants.
Yeah, and I mean, in fairness, like that is where we get, the idea.
Inspiration.
Yes, for sure. But again, that is such a silly thing to point to, and it truly is just a misunderstanding of how we reach conclusions, because this is not something that we would do in any other situation. We would never approach any other situation like this and use this methodology to reach conclusions, right? But we do it here because it makes us feel good and we get to reach our answer of Big Daddy in the sky. But yeah, it's okay. It's fine. It's what we do. It's what apologists do. I knew it going into this. So, but
this is a great classic. This is a great classic video.
Yeah, we're hitting some good ones. So
hopefully somebody will hear these things we're saying and understand that these basic arguments are super easy to knock down.
Or show us where we're completely wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Look at the design of the human body and the human hand and the arm and the leg and the brain, and we see that those are some of the most advanced, technologically savvy pieces of equipment ever put together.
They're not.
To mimic them and copy them. And
oh my goodness. So I mean, and now he's gonna try to say that we're trying to mimic and recreate these things, but is he gonna give any credit to how far we've come in our attempt to mimic these things? And actually make them better?
Yeah, we have done quite a lot. And we have the simple fact alone that you can improve on the design indicates that all of this argument is bunk, right? It's the same thing as when they say like the Bible is the perfect word of God or whatever, right? I mean, it's not, because you could just very easily get rid of the passage about slavery, about how to own slaves. That's all you do, is just take it out, and the book is better, right? And the book is better because, according to you, God didn't actually want slavery to be a thing anyway, and he just had to work with the people at the time and eventually made it so that slavery was gone anyway. So by just getting rid of the verses on slavery to begin with and just instead saying, don't have slaves, it's a better book, meaning it can be improved, meaning this whole thing about, look how great this design is, it's so awesome, it had to be from God. It doesn't work. It all falls flat. So, I mean,
and Jer puts up a comment there where I don't know what a jug of
milk I know. Is. I love that.
By the way, you know what's a better design than a jug of milk? Bagged milk. Just putting that out there.
Yeah.
I don't have to put this huge gallon plastic container in a bag. I can, like, by the time my milk is empty, you could crumple it up in a little ball and throw it away.
It feels, I just want to say, as a general rule, I feel like liquid in a bag is not a great idea. That's just my thoughts, right? So, Argue with me as much as you want, but I just feel like we have sturdier containers for our liquid, you know.
It's not as weak as you think. Honestly, you'd be super surprised. I don't want to get in
No, I know
too
we're
far
getting
to
off.
tangent
Yeah,
on this,
yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
I
yeah,
have
yeah,
seen
yeah.
videos of Americans being presented with these bagged milk in the containers, and they cut the bags and try to dump all the milk out into a container.
Oh my
And all
God.
you're supposed to do is just put the
Right, put the
bag in
bag
the
in the
container.
right.
Once the bag is in the
Right,
container,
right.
it doesn't pour out. There's no chance of any ripping or nothing.
Yeah.
I can tell you in the 45 years of living on this planet, I have never like had an accidental puncture or anything.
Really?
I'm not gonna say no one has ever had, but
Sure.
um, I've had leaky cartons. I've had leaky cartons.
Mhm.
Anyways, um,
All right, we'll finish
yeah,
this one.
I just wanted to make the point here to come back to this video,
Mhm.
that not only is our mimicry and recreation of human like in the form of robots come a long way. We're not making them better, right? Like, for example, there's a new robot I just saw. It's a bipedal, like it's humanoid-esque. In other words, it's got 2 legs, 2 arms, it's got
Oh
a
yeah.
head, and it was sorting at an Amazon facility just to see how it would work and sort. And you know what was absolutely brilliant? It can turn its hips almost 180 degrees and start walking back the other direction while it's still facing backwards with this arm, like, placing the thing
That's
in the
pretty
slot.
amazing.
And then, like, when it's on the floor, it can just, like, bend itself and contort itself in the ways a human couldn't. And when
Yeah.
it wants to get up, it doesn't need its hands and its legs or whatever. It can just balance itself on 2 legs and just get up, you know, like, so, you know what? Another 10, 20 years, and, the human body is going to be obsolete.
Yeah. Hopefully.
We can't do it as well. Why? Because this universe exhibits design from the starry sky at night to the fingertips on your hand. The design is overwhelming, it's everywhere. Where does design originate? Well, what you and I both know is that when you see things that function and they're complex, that design comes from an intelligent designer.
Yeah. Again, this is the same thing that Made by Jim Bob was talking about with
Yeah.
function. Is the problem with this, and I think I saw something in the chat too about like information as well, because these are things that come up in this conversation, and it's so interesting to me. I'm just deeply perplexed as to why people are so confused on this, I guess. Maybe it's difficult. Maybe I'm completely wrong. I just think people are completely misunderstanding what function and information are, right? Because, for instance, like whether or not it is consciously the case, whether or not somebody purposefully comes along and digs a trench in the ocean floor, there is a function for that space. Living creatures will live in that space, right? Like oxygen will get trapped in that space, right?
Yeah.
Like, so things happen with it, whether or not there's anybody, and this is just so demonstrable on a regular mundane basis. We all see this and know this, and again, that's partly why this is so confusing to me. The other side of it is the information side of it. Again, I'm deeply perplexed why people don't understand an acorn falling from a tree into mud and leaving an indentation in the mud. That's information. I mean, am I just completely wrong on that? Or is that just the most basic understanding of what we mean by information? Like, at its most core, at the end of the day, this is it. It is some kind of change in the world around us that now other things in that same environment have to respond to. Like, is that, am I just totally off base there?
No, I mean, it makes perfect sense to me, and it's not even really that difficult to understand. In fact, I really love that example of the tree.
Mhm.
And so then I would ask, what's the function of a tree,
Yeah,
right?
right.
So the tree's
Exactly.
function, someone might say the function of a tree is to give us shade. Someone else might say the function of a tree is to create oxygen.
Yeah,
Um, I would say if the tree was designed, it's a terrible design because
absolutely.
here you've created a device that creates a highly flammable gas like oxygen, and in itself is highly flammable. Um, it's a lot of the bad thing too close to the other bad thing. Like,
Right. And that's what I was saying earlier about the fact that the design is not one that is just bad. It's not one that just doesn't work. It's one that provides such great opportunities for catastrophic failure on a regular basis.
yeah,
Like that is wild. That is one of the worst designs ever. If your car almost exploded every time you put gasoline in it, like fucking Christ, that
yeah.
is a terrible
At
design.
the very least, we can concede, okay, design, fine, but you can't use intelligent design because
Yeah,
that's
yeah, you definitely can't
definitely
say it's good. Yeah,
yeah.
but
Let's
all
get back
right.
to that video.
Let's see what else he's got. Yeah, no.
Big explosions just simply don't bring about order. They don't cause things that are functional and complex to come into existence. The design we see in the universe demands a supernatural, intelligent designer.
Yeah, but it doesn't
No,
have
it doesn't.
yeah, it doesn't have a man, this next one is really bad. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and say I am not as confident anymore that I said earlier the sixth one was gonna be the worst, but this one really sucks. Proof 3 really sucks. But just real quick, this problem with the design argument is that it doesn't have any ability to distinguish designed from undesigned objects, and it doesn't tell us if simple objects can be designed. It doesn't give us any understanding about whether or not somebody could design an object that is incredibly simple, right?
Yeah.
Because it seems to say the reason we know design is due to its complexity. But then we have to account for simple things, right?
Yeah.
And so then the question is, are simple things undesigned? Right? Is there anything that is not designed in this world? And the
Yeah.
answer comes out to no. Everything is designed, and there is no way to tell the difference between anything really at the end of the day. But
One of the first topics you usually talk about when you get into any kind of designing class or any designing course or whatever, we usually explore the idea of a mousetrap,
uh-huh.
and how like it is basically irreducibly as simple as it's
You
going to
can't
get.
make a better mousetrap,
Right.
right?
Anything better might actually be more complex, perhaps.
Exactly.
But that's about as simple of a device as you get. You take
Right.
any one thing away from that and attempt to make it simpler, it no longer is a mousetrap.
Right.
It's just junk. Um, yeah, so yeah, that's a great point. It's like, okay, complexity, if they're saying complexity equals design, therefore equals intelligent designer, does that mean a simple object can't be designed
Right.
or isn't designed? And
Right.
is that simple object then also just designed by like a layman? Like, did
Right.
God design humans, but he had like an intern do rocks and
Right.
grass?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. And truly at the end of the day, it just doesn't
God's
account
interns.
for
Oh man.
it doesn't actually have a fair accounting of complexity, because the complexity of any Swiss watch like pales in comparison to the paths that electrons take in an atom, in just some of the most basic fucking atoms, right? The ability for metal elements to share their electrons, right? Like that is insane. That is fucking insane. That is way more intricate than a watch. So it doesn't like it really is you just picking out things that make you feel good. It is just you just kind of picking and choosing and saying, "Oh, that looks nice to me. That looks super complex." So, yeah.
Just quick to answer Andrew's question, you're right. It doesn't make it junk, but it makes it a useless mousetrap.
That's true.
Um,
That's true.
All right. So the next number 3, life demands a supernatural life giver.
Real quick, I saw
Uh,
Justice just posted
Okay. Yep.
something. I think we can get it up here. Something thoughts on fine tuning argument, specifically the fundamental constants and quantities. I feel like this argument do not reflect what Christian philosophers have been arguing. Or you feel like his arguments do not reflect what Christian philosophers have been arguing. I don't know if you're talking about me, if you're talking about Justin, or if you're talking about the fine tuning argument. But the fine tuning argument, one of the biggest problems I have is oftentimes what the fine tuning argument is really saying is if you change one aspect and leave everything else exactly the same, it all falls apart, which is kind of like, yeah. I mean, that's not interesting. I don't know why somebody would bring that to the table.
Yeah.
That isn't special, and it doesn't indicate anything. It doesn't indicate anything, actually, except for the fact that all of these things have to be the way that they are. However, we do have a really good understanding to indicate that if you adjust all of the things in various ways, you can make about an infinite amount of combinations that work. If the strong nuclear force and the weak nuclear force are radically different from where they are now, and electromagnetism is also totally different, then it all works. It all works just fine. But if you just radically change electromagnetism and everything else is the same, well, then, yeah, of course it doesn't work. Because, like, if you go grab a functioning car right now and you just pull out the alternator, of course, it's not going to work. But if you completely switch all of the mechanisms inside of a car and make a completely different object, well, then, yeah, it'll work. So, yeah. But if
the fine tuning one, I've never really been able to like. There's something about it that triggers me, but I can't really put my finger on it. It feels like it's thinking about things in the wrong direction. It all of these things that are tuned in order to allow a thing to happen, that's not how it works. This is how things are, and then these other things happen because of that. It comes back to the spilt milk thing that we said earlier, right? If you had left the milk there, it's going to get stinky. It's going to start growing things. It's going to attract life. Life doesn't show up to that spilt milk and go, oh man, if this didn't spill exactly this way, we wouldn't be able to enjoy this spilt milk at all.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I've never really been able to communicate exactly how I feel about that fine tuning, but it feels backwards.
Yeah.
All right, if we're ready to get back to the video, then I would be really interested to know what about this sentence triggered you so hard to be like, this is going to be bad.
Life demands a supernatural life giver. Just everything about this sentence is fucking stupid. Like, this is all dumb. Every word after life is dumb. Like, life demands. No, it doesn't. Life is a concept. Okay, it is a concept. It is not like a tangible thing. Like, you can't just grab life out of the air or anything. So it definitely doesn't have the ability to ask for anything, much less forcibly ask for anything. So it's not demanding goddamn shit. And then he just posits. He just immediately jumps to supernatural. He immediately jumps to supernatural. Why not life demands a natural life giver? Why not that? Right?
Yeah,
like
the use of the word supernatural multiple times here, to me, just might as well just be replaced, or the definition of supernatural and the way he uses it is, I don't understand it, so supernatural.
Right. So, like, what a shitty use of a term. And just life giver. Okay. No, go ahead. Maybe the sixth one is still worse than this, but go ahead. I'm feeling like
demands a supernatural life giver. You see, in the material world, we have come to understand that there is a law of biology called the law of biogenesis. Law of biogenesis simply says this, that in this material, natural world, life comes from previously existing life of its own kind.
Okay,
There's
stop.
that kind word everyone loves.
Yeah, yeah. And also, what a stupid caveat to begin with. Hang on just a second before we go any further. Well, pull it back up. I want to read I'll read the super chat. Thank you so much. Bryce Aroni sending $5. Thank you, Bryce. It's always good to hear from you, man. I hope you're doing well. If you haven't seen any of the good stuff Bryce has done in the past, there's a lot of great
super
videos.
set justifies what we're doing here tonight. Thank you.
It does. It does. Actually, it makes it all worth it. Yeah. Bryce saying it's disappointing that grown ass adults are still using this argument. It's so childish. Like, just look up all the counter arguments that debunk it. Yes, I completely agree. It's very frustrating whenever I see people that are bringing these really, really old arguments that have been trotted out time and time again and have been debunked time and time again. Yes, supernatural's begging the question. You can't use that in the premise to lead to the same conclusion. Yes, exactly, Bryce. See, Bryce was also triggered by it, Justin. It wasn't just me.
we could just use the word magic and win every argument.
Right.
Because magic.
Right. And that's not like that's fine if you want to do that, but you don't get to come to the game and say that you're not using magic and then use magic. Like it doesn't work. It doesn't work. All right, let's see what he's gonna say, I guess.
So in this material natural world, life comes from previously existing life.
Is there a non-material, non-natural world where life doesn't come from previously existing life? Like, does that exist? Is that something that this dickhead can point to us?
I'm having a hard time with, first of all, never heard of the law of biogenesis. So again, not sure if that's a thing. Secondly, if it's a thing, I'll bet you it does not say existing life of its own kind.
Yeah, I'm sure it doesn't say that. I understand life coming from life. I get that. But again, like, not like
it's safe to say we probably both very much respect and love Forrest Valkai. I bet you this would just like he would go on a rant until early morning.
I feel very
this sentence.
I feel very confident he would have a lot to say already. So
all right, let's see
let's keep it going.
Now, when we look at how people used to think about life, they said, no, life can arise spontaneously from non-living chemicals. Yeah, and yet every single biological experiment has shown us that simply is biologically impossible. Life doesn't arise from non-living chemicals.
Well, I mean, that's the best answer we've got thus far. And we do have good reason to accept this. Like, it's not just us making shit up. Like, we do know. So this is the problem that people don't realize is that chemicals are three-dimensional. Like, I understand that we look at liquids, and especially when they're like spilled out on the floor or the counter, and we think they're two-dimensional, but they're not. The reason that chemical reactions occur is because of physical structure, right? Like your baking soda and your vinegar fit together in a way that causes the molecules to move and change, right? So like this is just silliness, right? This is describing chemicals in this way is not understanding what the fuck is going on, right? And I get it. I understand why. It's because it's all happening at a really small level and we can't see it. But no, like we do have good reason to say things like, hey, the basic building blocks that when fit together equal a modern day human cell, like those can be generated from different chemicals, you know, with some stimulation. Like, and all of that stimulation is reasonable. It's not like we're doing something that doesn't happen in nature, right? Lightning bolts happen. Electricity is shot into liquids in nature. That shit happens, right? Like hot springs exist because underneath the earth there's a lot of magma and shit. Like underneath the crust, there's a lot of hotness going on with our earth. So like the water boiling is not something,
baby.
Yeah, and that's not crazy. That's like something that happens around us, you know? So I don't know. Again, maybe I'm crazy.
Yeah, real quick before we get to the super chat, Ember points out that Pasteur coined the phrase of the law of biogenesis, but they meant that in the context of that dead stuff doesn't
life comes from
produce
life.
bugs, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
Yeah.
they used to
Right.
think that maggots just came out of nowhere,
Right.
right?
They used to think
Right.
that maggots just spontaneously, but then eventually they realized, no, flies are coming along and planting eggs. Like, yeah, for sure. But
All right.
yeah, Jamie M. West sending $4.99 saying, yeah, that law says life comes from pre-existing life of its own kind. But if he believes that, how could he believe it comes from the supernatural? Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. Yeah, if he does accept that, how then does natural life come from the supernatural? Because that would not be of its own kind. And that's a really good point, Jamie. Good on you there. That's good.
Also, I would point out that the only thing I would add to this idea of life doesn't arise from non-living chemicals. We are in fact just a big walking pile of chemicals.
Yeah.
Like we could actually put a financial. I've seen it somewhere before where like we're just 37 cents of chemicals. Like that's how much
Yeah.
we're really worth.
Yeah.
Something weird like that.
Yeah. You can measure it out.
Maybe in Trump's economy, it's like $3.70. But the price.
I don't know. Eggs are still expensive, so we'll see.
Well, for you.
Yeah. Well, fuck you.
I just bought a dozen of extra large.
Well, you're about to be our next state, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, you're going to be our 11th province. Enjoy that free healthcare.
I'd actually take that. Yeah, that's a good call. That's a much better deal. That's it's a worse deal for you guys. But
all right, let's see if we can trigger you more with the rest
yeah.
of
Let's
this
see.
topic.
Let's see.
From where did life arise? Where did life originate? If it doesn't arise from non-living chemicals, you see, the idea
That
that there's no
question
God
doesn't prove
suggests to us that there had to be some singularity without a cause that exploded, and that explosion brought about design, which we've never ever seen happen. And then
So now he's just
ultimately,
wow.
Yeah, so this is the classic mixing of all of the topics.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Now
Yeah,
he's just mixing all this shit together. He's just assuming.
Started with an abiogenesis like topic, but now he's gone back to the singularity and the Big Bang, and now he's probably going to discuss evolution, which is all a different thing altogether.
Yeah. Let's see.
Where the non-living chemicals gave rise to life, but that's biologically impossible. Life demands a supernatural creator.
I mean, you can assert it, but it doesn't. Doesn't make it true.
Yeah, even if his argument is true, we're like, life can't do that. We come right back to you've just inserted God now.
Yeah.
Right? Like okay, fine, life can't just come out of nothing, but where's there a God or a creator? Like
Right. You're just dropping that shit in out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like, man.
Proof number 4. Moral law demands a moral law.
I love this one, and it's an oldie and a goodie though, but moral law demands a moral law.
I really, I wouldn't have said this many years ago for sure, but I think the more that you look into it, the more that you understand moral realism does not make sense.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. And I am happy there are many atheists and there are many non-believers that would disagree with me on that. And that's fine too. I'm happy to talk with y'all as well. But there is no such thing. There is no such thing as stance-independent morality. The moment you start talking about anything else, it is not fucking morality. It is not what people talk about when they are talking about morality. It doesn't make any sense. So I would love for anybody.
The moment that we can argue that the moral lawgiver is immoral, they're not a moral lawgiver anymore.
Right. I mean, right? It just seems
even if we're
obvious.
Wrong, the fact that we can disagree with even one of their supposed moral laws, they're no longer a moral lawgiver, because if morality was just objective that way, we would all be on the same page.
Because we don't have the ability to disagree about the product of 1 + 1.
Yeah.
Like we don't have the ability to disagree about that. Like there's no meaningful discussion to be had about the effect of gravity on an object in free fall anywhere in the world. Like that, there's no conversation. We know with it. We know this. It is not something that changes based on my feelings about it. But morality does, undeniably, in every scenario that anybody has ever proposed as to the explanation for where this shit comes from. So again, like for a long time, I was a non-believer who was a moral realist. I very much was like, no, there is like an objective moral code. It just doesn't have a God. But now I'm in the stance of just, I just don't think anybody has an objective way to come to this shit, you know? But
Let's
I don't
keep
know.
going.
I don't know, because I'm kind of feeling better now. Maybe 6 is going to be really the worst if 4 is this bad. So let's see.
Well, yeah, we know that the words subjective and objective morality are going to get thrown around here. So
Oh yeah,
let's hear them.
Giver. If some things are objectively morally right
right away.
and other things are objectively morally wrong, then there must be a God.
So
yeah, but what if
again,
that's not the case? What if that's not the case? I mean, actually entertain that for a second and try to imagine what the world would be like if there weren't objective rights and wrongs. What would the world look like? Because I bet you, if you sat down and really thought about it, the world would look exactly like it fucking is now. That's the world we live in.
there's no reason to continue. That's a mic drop. Let's move on.
You see, if we evolve from primordial slime over multiplied millions of years, at what point did objective moral values arise?
Isn't that what they call poisoning the well?
Oh my God, yes. And just
Yeah. So
such
at what point did
straw man.
objective moral values arise? They never did.
Right. If my stance is that they didn't, this is totally worthless. Like you're not engaging with what people are actually saying in this stance. If somebody's response to this is that there are objective morals without a God, right? Which I think there are at least some decent answers in that stance, right? I think you can get everything that you get from a God-based morality in other scenarios, right? Whether it's a deontological framework or whether it's a consequentialist framework, right? Even like virtue ethics, for God's sakes. But the problem is none of them are actually objective. No, they all fail in the exact same way. So what does it fucking matter? Like, at what point did they arise? They didn't.
And those morals also evolve and grow with society and civilization as well, right? Like morality is better today than it was 1,000 years ago. 1,000 years ago, people were doing things that almost everyone would agree were absolutely terrible. And 1,000 years from now, humanity will look back at us and go, how the hell did they elect Trump?
Yeah.
We don't look at a dog and say that.
Real quick. I saw Theo had said something in the chat, just says, I'll have to discuss with secular Rarity about this. We discover ethical behavior. We do not make it up out of thin air. Yeah. What I'm saying is not that we make up ethical behavior out of thin air. I'm not saying what we're doing when we're doing morality is making shit up out of thin air, right? But like the idea of discovering ethical behavior or discovering moral concepts is not the same as discovering mathematical equations that explain the flow of water in a tub. They're not the same, right? And the reason is because it has nothing to do with the discoverer, right? The rate of the flow of water based on the pull that gravity exerts on it is constant. It is standard everywhere. There is no difference anywhere in the world, right? If there is a difference, that difference is one that is objectively verifiable in the sense of we're in a place where there is more pressure, less pressure, there is less gravitational pull because we're on the moon, etc., right? So that is not comparable to when it comes to morality. It just isn't, because at the end of the day, the discovering that we do with morality is entirely based on people's preferences. It is entirely based on their stances. And so when I talk about what objective morality would have to be, it would have to be something that is independent of individual stances, right? It has to be something that whether Justin or I give a shit about it doesn't matter. Like just the way how fast water is going to flow out of this tub when it's open is just going to be the case, right? That isn't true for morality in my experience. And again, could be totally wrong on that. That's just what I've come across. So
yeah. And also just like to get hyper literal here before we read the super chat. The moment God decides on what the morals are, it's no longer objective either. He's now the subject.
and that's exactly what that is exactly what Bryce Aroni is saying. We can pop that back up. Yeah, $2 super chat. Thank you, Bryce. Saying morals are still subjective, even if you add a God. Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Bryce. I didn't mean to steal your thunder. I literally was sitting on that nugget before
you guys are on the exact same page.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Speaking of page, we still got a chunk of video to go. Let's
do it. We can get through it. Just a couple left.
Objectively, morally violated some rule when he steals a bone from another dog. We don't say, hey, he violated a objective moral value. We just don't say that. But we do say that humans can perpetrate things that are objectively morally wrong, that humans
but just because we say that doesn't fucking mean anything, okay? Just because we say that doesn't mean anything. And I actually think the fact that we don't ascribe this moral behavior to other living creatures is a super, super big point in the non-realist morality camp, you guys. You know why? Because this might blow your mind. Guess what other living creatures do adhere to? They adhere to things like fucking gravity. They adhere to things like the laws of logic. That shit is outside of our individual and collective preferences. If there are 2 lions in a space and there is only enough food for 1 lion, it does not matter how people feel about the situation. One of them lions gonna die. That's just the fucking case, okay? And the reason that they don't adhere to this whole, they're doing the moral thing, might just be, it's not fucking objective. So, anyway.
Also, you could argue that the lions deciding that one of them needed to die in order for one of them to survive is their own sense of morality. As well.
Right. We don't know. Lions could be super moral. We have no idea. We can't talk to them.
There's a great experiment that I saw regarding a bunch of monkeys. They put these monkeys in a pit and they gave them a ladder. And every time a monkey tried to climb the ladder, they would rain like massive amount of water on the monkeys. And what they would then do is they would add a new, after they taught the monkeys this, right? They keep trying to climb out. They keep pummeling with the hose water and stuff. The monkeys stop trying to climb the ladder. Then they add a new monkey. And when that new monkey tries to climb the ladder, the other monkeys actively like elbow drop them and stop them.
Yep.
Don't climb that freaking ladder.
Yep.
And it's a mild demonstration of society having morals and then pushing their morals on other people.
Right. And in that scenario, it's entirely subjective. But anyway.
In things that are morally right. If that's true, there must be a God.
Okay, so if it's not true, does that mean there must not be a God? I just want to point that out. Like, if that's what he's saying, okay, just also, I'm feeling better that the 6th proof might be the worst, because I don't know exactly where this is going, but if it's starting off by asserting free will exists, this proof is gonna fucking suck. So let's go.
I almost want you to write it what you think it's going to be in the private chat.
I think it's going to be free will exists, therefore God. Like, I think it's just going to be
5.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think proof 5 is just going to be free will exists, therefore God's real. I think it's just going to be that simple.
All right, let's see.
Number 5, free will exists. The atheistic idea that there is no God is founded on the idea of materialism, the idea that this material world is all that there is, all that there was, and all that there ever will be. Because of that, Atheism has to suggest that you as a person don't really have free will.
No,
That-
it doesn't. That doesn't make any sense. That doesn't make any sense. God does not lend towards free will being more credible. Like, I don't think free will is a thing.
I mean,
but that has nothing to do with whether or not God's real.
if there was ever any more evidence of the many years of YouTube atheism and call-in shows and debunk videos that these people aren't listening, atheism doesn't make any claims about free will to begin with, technically, right? All
Right.
atheism says is, I don't believe that your God is real.
Right, just at its most basic, right?
Yeah.
That is all the stance is
Yeah.
just saying, like, hey, I am not currently somebody who believes that there is a God. And I, maybe you can even go so far as to say this person is also implicitly saying, I think it's possible to know if there's a God, right? Like, fine. Like, sure, maybe you can take it that far. But atheism definitely doesn't have to suggest free will. In fact, I think there are stronger arguments for the possibility of free will on a non-God universe. That being said, I just don't think there is any good reason to believe that there is free will. And one of the reasons I say that is because we can absolutely all agree that there are things we do not have control over to choose. Whether or not we believe there are things that we can choose, we can definitely agree there are things we cannot choose. So then it becomes the question of, well, to what degree are we able to actually choose things, right? And I think once you play that game, you will find the amount of things that we even potentially have a meaningful choice in the matter is very, very fucking tiny. Everything seems to be determined. But again, anyway, this is stupid. He just asserts free will's real.
You know what's great about this video? This video should be the entrance exam before you're allowed to be on a call-in show, right? Like an atheism call-in show.
Yeah, you should be able to go through all of these because these are just very, very low level. Like,
this is Fisher Price level debunking.
Yeah.
Right? It's great though. I've been thinking about this kind of thing a lot lately, where it's like sometimes some of the because there's a lot of great shows and channels out there. I mean, you're on most of them. And sometimes the arguments get so in the weeds. As someone who's just coming across them for the first time, it can be a little bit tough to follow and understand. So, you know what? This is a great little review today.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah,
happy to
it's
have
worth
gone
it.
through it with you. Yeah.
No being inside of your body or brain that is super matter. That really what's going on.
I don't even know what the fuck that is.
That's super matter.
Yeah, I don't know where the fuck that came from. I don't know what the fuck that is. All right.
It sounds like the cutting room floor at a DC comic creation room right there. It's like,
yeah.
How about this villain? Super matter. Nope, that sucks.
Yeah.
Just throw that away.
Yeah. He's Superman and he uses super matter, right? That makes sense. Batman's got a batarang. Superman's got super matter. Whatever. Fucking Christ.
Around, and you're the product of those bounces, and you don't really make decisions on your own. It's just the physical laws and properties going on in your brain. If you are watching this video of your own volition, then the fact of the matter is there has to be a God that
there's that. It has to be then. So like
yeah. He's just asserting like this is such a silly. Like, if you genuinely are interested in engaging with this topic, then fine, but do it. Like, don't just hand wave it away. And also, it's so frustrating when people frame it in this way where, like, you are clearly attempting to be dismissive and talk down to this side. You are not giving this side a fair shake. And you can tell when they say things like, they think there's nothing really happening. Like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Like when you say something like, oh, all you are it's just the product of bounces. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, what a weird way to say that, man. Like, imagine if I just said to you, right? Well, all you are, well, your view, all you're saying is that you're just some magically endowed flesh bag. Like that, it is just not honestly engaging with the topic. And like, that's fine if you want to be smug and you want to, go rah to your people, but like, don't pretend that you're actually here to discuss this, right? Because if you are, then the conversation of they don't think anything's really they don't think you're really making decisions. Like, no, that's fucking entailed in what I'm saying, dickhead. Like, they don't really think there's anything divine about that. Yes, that's what I'm saying, you asshole. Like, don't pretend that if somebody, okay, you probably let me just I've got another example and I'll shut up.
SR was all the way up to 11. He just wants to bring it back to 9 for a second.
It's like this probably makes sense to you, okay? Yeah. When I grew up, everything that we didn't like, we called it gay, right? Everything that was stupid, everything that was dumb, and we said it was gay, right? Yeah. Okay. As I have grown up, as I have spoken with more people, as I have learned, as I have, all of that good stuff, right? I don't do that anymore, right? If somebody uses that wording in an offensive manner, right? Like towards me, they say, man, you're so fucking gay. I say, oh, what's wrong? Why is that a problem?
Not offensive.
Why is that? Yeah, like I'm not. If you walk up to somebody, for instance, if you walked up to Sir Elton John as he is standing there with his beloved partner, as he is wearing a gold necklace that says fuck, and you say, Sir Elton, you are so gay. Like, you have to understand what you're saying doesn't really make a lot of sense to everybody involved in the situation except for you, because you are implicitly you are coming to the conclusion and saying, well, this is dumb to begin with. This is stupid to begin with. This is gross. This is wrong. This is a problem. All you're doing, your view, Justin, in your view, there's no afterlife. Well, yeah. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, that is not you engaging honestly and fairly, which is fine because apologetics are not actually meant for people that don't already believe. But
this is one of those topics too that I think that like a real honest back and forth philosophical, well, that was a weird way to say that word.
No, that was right. You got it.
Was it? Okay. Question can be had, right? Is there free will or not free will? Where the problem comes in, it's not even a problem. Like, we could have and be on two sides of that argument, no problem. The problem doesn't start until because God. As soon as you say God, then you're like, wait a minute, you mean the guy who knows everything, what's going to happen?
Right.
Then it's not free will then.
And is purposefully making things happen in a way that works out to his design. Like, that sounds so counter to free will. That sounds so opposite.
The worst argument for free will.
I don't know. Maybe we're just idiots. We're probably just suppressing the truth in unrighteousness, but whatever. All right, let's see.
Account for that free will that you as a person have. There has to be a God if there is free will.
Okay, but if there isn't free will, then there isn't a God. If that's what you're saying, if that's what you're saying, it's that easy and stupid to demonstrate how wrong your God is. Now, I feel a little vindicated, Justin.
All right.
I feel a little vindicated. And here's why. This feels fucking stupid. This feels like it's about to be really, really dumb. And the other ones were dumb. There was some dumb shit out there, but this one feels like it's about to be dumb. Human reasoning is a proof of God. That's dumb. That's fucking stupid. But this
is going to be the proof where he says the sentence because the Bible says. This is going to be the one where a passage comes in to prove God.
Man, maybe. Oh my God, that's so true. Yeah, that's a good. Let's see if that
Maybe.
prediction
Let's see.
comes true.
Human reasoning. You see, we reason on a regular basis. We understand abstract ideas. If we were products of
He hasn't demonstrated at all that he understands any abstract ideas.
A very good point. Yeah, we reason all the time, except for these last 8 minutes. But Jesus Christ, I already have a response, but I'm gonna let it go for a second and see. Maybe he says something better.
All right.
blind, chance, random processes over multiplied millions of years, reasoning and the laws of reasoning simply would have no explanation.
Okay.
And yet,
Okay. I thought he would say
inserts
that.
the word laws again too, which is always
Jesus Christ. This is so stupid. And here's why this is so stupid to me. Is again, it is a dichotomy that I think people are actively refusing to investigate because they recognize investigating this further makes a lot of these discussions really stupid and worthless, okay? If the true dichotomy, and somebody out there correct me if I'm wrong, is between existence and non-existence, if that is the true dichotomy, then what that means is that there is non-overlapping criteria that is specific to each of those categories that must be only in one category and not the other. Otherwise, you could not distinguish between the two categories. One of those criteria for existence seems to be the laws of logic. Therefore, everything under the category of existence follows the laws of logic. Does not matter how far down the chain it is, it must still adhere to that criteria, because if it didn't, it would not be in the category of existence by definition. Therefore, the explanation for reasoning arising in any living creature is simply due to the ability to distinguish the world around itself. It is an obvious byproduct when you understand that true dichotomy between existence and non-existence. I don't think that's fucking crazy. I think that makes a lot of fucking sense. I don't know if I'm completely off base here, Justin. Somebody will yell at us in the chat or in comments probably, but this is so silly to me, because it's like I hear people making this type of argument all the time where they're just like, well, where the fuck did all this shit come from? And it's like, well, what the fuck do you think non-existence is? Like, honestly, just think about that for 2 seconds. What does it mean to not be? What does it mean to adhere to the criteria of non-existence? There's not a lot of good answers there, you guys. And I'm not the only one saying this. People have been talking about this for a really, really long time. Again, it's kind of like earlier when I was talking about what you actually mean by supernatural and natural, because that definition is really important. Because in some understandings of what we're getting at when we mean natural, what we're getting at when we mean reality, it is so encompassing that the opposite of it by definition does not work. By definition, it becomes a paradox, which, just so we're all understanding, a paradox is only something that exists due to our inability to have completely accurate language. It's not logic. It's our fault. It's our inability to describe the world around us perfectly. So again, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm just totally off base. It just feels stupid. It just feels stupid to think that this is so mind-blowing when it is literally the most basic criteria for us to make this distinction between the two categories. So,
yeah.
I don't know. It frustrates me, Justin. Can you tell?
No, I can almost smell it, but no, I couldn't tell.
Yet we reason together on a regular basis. From where does reason arise? It's got
There's that giving, like, just like the comment about life earlier. He's making reason this tangible thing of like
Yes.
reason just can't come from nothing.
Right. And again, it's reason is a conception. Like it's not this thing. It's not the same as dirt. Like dirt is like, sure, conceptual to some degree, because all words are conceptual to some degree. But like if somebody says, from where does this dirt arise? It's like, oh, outside. Like we just put down mulch, you know, like that's where, right? But you can't do that. From where does reason arise? Jesus fucking Christ. But again, it's the simple fact of adhering to the criteria to exist. It's that simple. It is literally that fucking simple.
No naturalistic atheistic explanation. Antony Flew, the atheist who wrote Theology and Falsification, the most popular atheistic paper for the last 100 years,
Is it the most popular atheist paper in the last 100 years?
So I would say that the vast, and I don't, you know, I'm not positive, but I would say the vast majority of atheists I know probably do not know too much about Antony Flew. So I could be wrong.
I was just going to point out how he elevates him to a level of like, he's the number one guy.
Everybody listens to him. Everybody listens to this guy. Yeah. All the atheists are worshiping Flew every fucking week, you know, like
century. In 2006, he co-wrote a book titled There Is a God: How the World's Most Notorious Atheist Became a Believer. He stated that his rule of life had always been to follow the evidence where it leads. And he said he followed that evidence. And it led him to the conclusion that there is a supernatural, intelligent God.
So I'll almost guarantee, because we've seen this kind of nonsense before, that there is some context missing. This is probably a lifted, cherry-picked, maybe even like not even verbatim from the book, for all we know. And also, if he co-wrote, why isn't he quoting the other guy? Right? Like, I mean, I don't know. Looks like you're Googling it or checking in on this.
Yeah, I am, just to double check, because I know that Flew changed his mind. I know that this is a thing that Christians will bring up again. This is the main reason that I'm familiar with Antony Flew as an atheist. But
so if he changed his mind and he's no longer an atheist, therefore he's not the greatest atheist for the last 100 years, is he?
Yeah, right. Also, so previously, and this is just a quick snippet, but previously Flew had argued that the problem with the arguments for the existence of God is based on, in his mind, the falsification principle, that basically if a claim can't be falsified, it's not a meaningful scientific statement, and thus applied to, you know, many theological claims about God. His change of mind is based on the complexity of the universe and the origin of life. So, yeah. So this is not, so these are two things that were brought up earlier in this 6 proofs that we instantly brought up refutations for as to why. And neither of those things, just so we know, neither of those things actually follow, right? They do not structurally match correct argumentation, okay? The universe is complex, therefore God exists. That doesn't work, okay? Just the same as life exists, therefore God. Like neither of those things work, okay? Just so that we're all fucking clear. But in fairness, and this is my favorite part, let's give him the ball, okay?
Okay.
Let's give him the ball. Let's allow our opponent not just to have the ball, but let's give them a head start, and let's tie our hands behind our back, okay?
All right. This is like, I'm always by default set to easy mode, but you're suggesting here it's like, let's make this to tutorial level now.
Let's see here if we think this person, Mr. Flew, the atheist extraordinaire,
the number one,
the man who flipped and is here today to prove this content creator's God. Justin, I'm going to read you something, and you tell me if you think it matches up. Flu's conception of God was not a personal interventionist deity, but rather a quote unquote designer who set the universe in motion and does not actively interfere with human affairs. Justin, do you think Mr. Flu and this content creator agree really at all about the nature and existence of God?
No.
Not in the fucking slightest.
Not
in
in the
not in the fucking
this guy
slightest.
Presenting this video is very clearly a young earth creationist preacher, Christian, Bible believer, where what you just said is, I believe there's a proper term for someone who
Like
thinks
deist
that,
at best.
is it?
Yeah.
They got the ball rolling and then they're just watching the show happen. They're not really
Right.
So
it is very, very, very worth noting that even if you give him everything, it absolutely still does not even get anywhere close to what he's saying.
Yeah, the guy he's using to strengthen his argument doesn't even agree with him.
Right. And may, in fact, just so we're all on the same page here, okay? It's not that deism is a different version of a God being posited and then you're closer to theism. No. Deism is fundamentally at odds with a theistic concept of a God. And I know more theists that hate the concept of deism than I do atheists, because it is a paltry understanding of divinity. By definition, divinity should be better than what deism posits. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because what really matters right here, right now, is that I was right. I was correct that the sixth argument in this proof set would be the fucking worst. And I am so proud of myself, because this one I think was really bad. I think it really takes the cake. So I feel really good about that, and I am going to sleep great tonight.
Well, let's clean our plate and finish off this thing.
Yep.
Let's let the evidence lead us to that same conclusion.
All
right.
Let's do that. Let's do that, Kyle.
Yeah, we can take that video off now.
Absolutely.
You know what? We didn't have call-in studio, and I'll admit I'm fairly disappointed. I do love coming over to Skeptic Haven and interacting with callers and all that stuff. But you know what? What we just did here today, SR, here's how I kind of see this now. And it was completely by accident. This was literally a video plucked from the internet with it was the first one that came up in the feed. And we dove into it. You know what this whole episode has now become? This is like the 6 calls that we almost always just get.
Yeah, pretty right. Yeah.
In a nutshell, these are the 6 main categories. We could take any call from any call-in show, and they would fall in line under any one of these arguments. So we've addressed them all without any pushback. We just had a video. We paused at will. Or maybe we didn't pause at will. We don't know. We went over that free will thing. But so I would say that, like, anyone who was watching and is like right now is seething and just wishes they could call and discuss any one of these 6 topics, you'll just have to come back to Skeptic Haven next week and call in and talk to whoever's guest spotting there at that time.
Yeah, and you even
share your opinion about it.
And you'll have an advantage, because now you will know some of our thoughts on the matter, and you will be able to take us to task. And if we're wrong on any of these things, I mean, please bring it to us, you know. I know we can get spicy sometimes. I know we can get hot sometimes, but I can honestly tell you that there are so many people that I know in this space that genuinely are interested in correcting their mistakes, right? They are very, very interested in somebody pointing it out to them where they are wrong. So if you can do that, please, like, we are interested in that. We want to know. And yeah, we are, we're going to be back next week. And we've also got other shows that go on throughout the week.
Yeah, I can't see who's going to
We're
be
gonna
here
get those
next
up.
week, but someone will be here.
Yeah, they'll
I'm
be
back
taking
on
a call.
March 9th or March 9th with
Nice.
Neil. So another 2 weeks, I'll be back again. And if we don't have calls, well, we'll just I'll take Neil through the same video and see what he
Right,
says.
we'll just do more fun stuff like this. But
Sure.
until then, if we could, there it is. We got Mondays. The Black Freethinkers are always rocking and rolling. There is a great crew over there, and if you don't check that out, you definitely need to make sure to hang out. On Thursdays, we've got the Sunny Spot, one of our longest running shows here. On Saturday, both the Global Atheist and Women Atheist unload, and of course, 30 in 60, one of our newest shows as well. We are loving. And then right here every Sunday on Let's Talk. And if you are out there and you want to support us, there are 1,000 freaking ways you can do that. One of the best is right here on patreon.com/Skeptic Haven. You can also become a YouTube member. It is a super, super easy thing to do, and you can help keep all the lights on and keep everything running. Speaking of the people that do help keep things running, let me get that list, and I am gonna, I guess I could talk about that too. Yeah, we need your help if you are interested in helping out here at Skeptic Haven. We have a lot of different opportunities. Reach out to us, skeptichaven@gmail.com. We are always looking for people. Oh, there it is. It's fast and quick. Michael Bell, Jester, Robin. Nope, go Michael Bell, Jester, Robin Webster, Duretti, YaHouligan, Manuel Puente, Karen Butcher, Ember, A.L. Trucker, Kelly Laughlin, John O'Neill, IQ, D. Murphy, Left-Handed Jedi. I've gotten ahead of myself. Gene Spliced and Pete himself. That's freaking right. You guys are awesome. I believe that was all of our wonderful, wonderful channel members. Thank you all so much. And we've got Dan D, Logan Fisher, Fern, Lovebond, Amanda McLeod, Sydney Davis Jr., Eric Ozols, Rion, Shunny Shell, Phil Calderone, Kathy Cotton, Tara S., Aaron Coalson, Michael Wiseman. Wait, I'm just going to pause for a second. Just let it go. Deborah Grace, Jena, Miyu, Jamie West, Shannon Gray, Ann Stevens, and D. Murphy. Thank you all so freaking much for supporting us on Patreon. All of you wonderful channel members.
If you weren't a call-in show host, SR, you would have been a game show host.
Yeah, probably, right? I should host a game show. Somebody think of a game show that I could host and we'll do it. You put up all the funding and everything and I'll just, I don't know, run the show. But if you like that idea, give me a call. Thank you so much to all of our wonderful, wonderful channel members and patrons. You guys absolutely help make all of this possible. And a massive shout out to all of the people behind the scenes that are making stuff happen. There is a whole group of people that are working around the clock here. And they are making good things happen and keeping this wonderful community going. And of course, thank you to all you folks out there that are hanging with us, whether it's live or whether it is on the replay, sitting out somewhere, taking a poop in public. If you are, don't worry. Nobody can hear you. Everything's cool. If you're not, that's cool. Like and subscribe. I mean, I guess you could do it too in the bathroom. Just maybe wash your hands. Hang out with us, you guys. We've always got something fun going on here. And if you want to catch me, I think I got a couple of things coming up. Let me see.
You're on AXP in a couple of weeks.
That's true. That's true. I am. I'm going to be hanging out with Maya Atkinson again over on Bad Science Sunday. Yeah, coming up.
Happening right now, by the way.
Yep.
Anyone's
yep.
curious?
Go hang out with them right after this. We're going to be wrapping up so we can all join over there. Tomorrow, though, I am actually going to be hanging out with Hell's Bells, Helen, over on Freethinkers Fireside. So I'm very, very excited for that. What do you got coming up, man? Where can everybody find you?
So I haven't really been active enough over on Skeptic Spin all that much. I apologize via my little community tab there on the YouTubes to those who haven't been seeing regular shows for myself. My co-host, Dr. Mike, has been going through some stuff. And I've just been having so much fun with Skeptic Haven. I've kind of just committed my Sundays now to Skeptic Haven as much as I can. So I'm going to be on Skeptic Haven almost like every other week for like the next month and a half. So I'm really looking forward to that. And then also BajaCon's coming up, and I am very quickly becoming a bigger, more integral part of BajaCon. So I'm just going to be working on that because I'll be hosting a live stream from the floor of BajaCon. So that's a lot of work and stuff, and make sure I got the talent and the panels, the people to join the panel there, and all the hardware and equipment and everything. So you can look forward to me getting really annoying about pushing BajaCon very soon.
That's awesome. That's
Yeah.
awesome. And if you're not familiar with what BajaCon is, it is a big skeptic, atheist, non-religious gathering that happens, as crazy as it may sound, you guys. It happens up north. It's up in the frozen tundra of Canada.
Yeah.
Canada,
but in August, so it'll be hot. And in fact,
That's
one
right,
of the
that's
things we're going to do is a cruise. Some of the most notable people, or more notable people this year, are always Seth Andrews will be there, and we got Forrest Valkai again, and then this year brand new, and I'm super excited to meet her. Gutsick Gibbon.
Oh my
Erica is
God!
gonna be
What
there.
a freaking powerhouse! What an amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. Watching Forrest there last year was really entertaining, or not entertaining. Actually, I kind of felt bad for him a little bit, but he's a pretty quiet, reserved guy. Like when the cameras go on, he's a rock star.
Yeah.
Right. But when he's just like cameras are off or whatever, he's happy to just be
He's
by
chill.
himself
He's
and
chill.
and he's trying to eat, and like everybody and their mom wants to come talk. And
Of
he's got a
course.
knife and fork in his head. And I've been entertained my whole life, and I know enough respect to like let the poor man eat. He'll shake all the hands and do whatever you want, and he's done eating. But now I'm imagining the scenario this year where we've got Erica sitting at one table on one side of the room and Forrest at another table on the other side of the room, and like this Red Sea parting of the crowd lined up while Erica and Forrest are trying to eat their respective meals, and everybody wants to shake their hands.
Yeah. Just taking questions from everybody. Yeah, I could see it. I can see it. Hey, I get it though, man.
Yeah.
It's always great to get to meet people and finally have that opportunity in person. But
we'll out of here, SR.
Yeah, we'll head on out, you guys. Thank you so much, everybody. We really, really appreciate you as always. Remember, there are 1,000 different things that are always going on here, and there are 1,000 different ways for you to support. And at the very least, just hang out, because I think one of the coolest things ever about being a person is that crave for community. I think that is so fucking awesome. And I think it's terrible when people use that for nefarious purposes. And I see that happen too much, and especially see that happening in religious spaces. So it's great that there's an opportunity to find those good connections in some place where you're not going to have all that shit. You're not going to have all that dogma. So yeah, I don't know what you're doing next week, but if you got a few moments, why not come hang out here? But until then, get the fuck out of here, and I don't know, go sin, because Jesus died for him. So see ya.
This is Skeptic Haven. Let's talk.